right deep inside you. When will you ever let it shine from within and cast all of your fears aside? You'll see the light.
Hello and welcome back to Kingdom Reviews. I'm your host, Future Keybearer. Today we go over my final thoughts on Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. Story. I've made it no secret throughout these videos that when it comes to Riku's whole grappling with the darkness story, I felt it was done better in Chain of Memories, aka the other game that prominently had Sora and Riku playable. But after a bit of thought on it, I realized that his story is less Riku trying to get over the darkness and more getting over his own guilt about what happened in the first game, basically building off of this moment from KH2.
I had given in to the darkness. Riku! How am I gonna face everyone? Like this?
Speaking of Sora, and oddly enough Chain of Memories, for him, much like that game, his story was less about advancing his character and more showing it off. Otherwise, all that was really accomplished was setting up for KH3. Overall, a good character piece, especially for Riku, but not much for the overall story. Gameplay. Right off the bat, this game has probably my favorite iteration of the command deck system of all three games that use it. Mainly because I don't have to worry about leveling them up or fusing them to make better ones. It's just pick the commands you want to use and that's it. Simple and clean and all that. But I'm aware that the main method of getting new commands isn't exactly popular. Yes, the Dream Eaters. I personally have mixed feelings on these guys. On the one hand, they're cute, fun little creatures, and it's kinda nice to have this much customization in party members in this series. On the other hand, making Dream Eaters be your only party members takes away one of my favorite aspects of this series, being able to team up with Disney characters. Even Birth by Sleep Encoded, as limited as it was, got this right. And if it was a space issue, well, I for one wouldn't have minded if they took a few Dream Eaters out to replace them with world-specific party members. Or hell, you could do like Final Fantasy XIII too. For those unaware, that game also had being able to create party members based on the normal enemies of the game. What I'm specifically getting at is that there are 2 DLC missions starring Lightning and Saz, and after completing them, you get them as party members for the main game. The story excuse for this is that they're like spirits of them and not the actual characters, or something. Gotta be honest, it's been a while since I played that game. My point being, I think a nice middle ground would have been being able to create Dream Eaters that take on the appearance and powers of characters Sora and Riku meet on this journey. Like say, after completing Les City Disclosures, you get a recipe for a Quasimodo Dream Eater. Though, to be fair, that might make things a little awkward with the pet care aspect. Yeah, that's the aspect people really hate about these things, as well as their link boards. Personally, I think they're fine. The pet care and minigames are really just optional. You get enough link points for the boards just by fighting with them in your party, and honestly, I still prefer it to melding in the command board from Birth by Sleep. Speaking of sleep, the drop gauge. This was something that personally didn't bother me too much. It was an interesting way to have 2 separate playable characters with their own stories without having to do 2 separate campaigns. And I liked how they worked it into the story. Plus, it's not too difficult to determine when is a good point to drop so that you don't risk being interrupted. But then again, I've been playing KH games for ages and I'm familiar with their tricks. And I won't deny, I get how stressful and rage-inducing it can be to be damn near the end of a boss fight, only to drop and have to do it all over again. What might have been better is to do a system similar to Insomniac's Spider-Man 2. That game also has 2 playable characters you can switch to on the fly with their own stories. The difference being in Spider-Man, there are specific missions that can only be played as either Miles or Peter. For this game, maybe have it so that you can't move on to the next world until both Sora and Riku are finished. But one thing I think we can all agree on is flow motion is busted as hell. The biggest problem is how unlimited it is. So much of the platforming is actually built around utilizing various flow motion techniques, but why bother when infinitely wall kicking will do the job just as well? At the end of the day, Dream Drop's gameplay was pretty experimental. Not bad by any means, but definitely needed some fine-tuning. Presentation. So you know how impressive Birth by Sleep was on the PSP, almost looking just as good as any of the PS2 titles? Hell, much like the PS2 titles, all the HD remake could do to improve things was increase the frame rate. If nothing else, it's kinda sad that there were very few other 3DS games that pushed the system this hard. Sound design. What can I say, the voice cast was on their A-game as always, and the music is still fantastic. Honestly, probably the only unique thing I can give this game is that the Kingdom mixes of the World Ends With You songs are, in my opinion, improvements. And they didn't even need improvements! Summary. Dream Drop Distance is definitely a mixed bag of a game, but it is still a fun time overall, and probably the best out of the Nintendo handheld exclusives. Well, that's it for this episode. Tune in next time as we go over some fun facts about the game.